South Africa. Welcome to Afternoon Express. I'm Bonnie Mbuli.
I'm Jeannie D. Welcome to the show. It is our Motivational Monday, and today we are tackling a very serious topic.
Yeah, violence against women and women abuse is a serious problem in our country, and most women can't pick up the signs of an abusive relationship because most times they don't know what those signs are. But we have women joining us in the Loft today who have raised their voices against abuse, and we speak to Phillipa Sklaar, the co-author of a book called When Loving Him Hurts, and she chats to us about her experience with abuse and how she overcame it.
Exactly. We also chat to leadership coach and board member of a women's rights organization called People Opposing Women Abuse, and she's going to be chatting to us about what this organization is doing to combat abuse and assist with women's rights. Yeah. So, join the conversation. Today we're going to be taking your calls. Give us a call on 083 913 3728. Also, make a statement on our tweet us. All you need to do is go onto Afternoon Chat using the official hashtag Afternoon Express, or you can comment on our Facebook page. But we also have Danilo in the kitchen with darling Clement.
Indeed we do. Welcome to South Africa. My name is Danilo. On an Afternoon Express today in the kitchen, we're making something so delicious with one of my favorite people in the kitchen of all time, Clem Pedro. First of all, welcome back to Afternoon Express.
Thank you so much.
You're a gangster. Today, not only are you making us a most beautiful pork belly, you're also going to be adding some incredible flavors to it, caramel and chili.
Totally. But first, I'm going to say, 50 Rand is on the way for that amazing compliment. That's all sorted. But yeah, I mean...
Under the table here, yeah.
To me, pork belly and pork in general is the candy of all meats. I mean, it's a combination of that sweet and that crispy. Today, we're going to take that, elevate it to another level, and put this dish together.
This is why I love cooking with you so much. Don't forget, South Africa, if you want to download these recipes and the shopping lists, afternoonexpress.co.za is a world on its own. Make sure you go and head over to our website and download them, print them out, and make sure you use them this Sunday or this weekend, even this week if you have to. Right now, let's cross over to our first guest who's joining Bonnie on the couch.
Thank you, Danilo. Abuse in South Africa is a very serious problem that affects women from all walks of life. Joining us now is a very brave woman who has not only gone through 3 abusive marriages, but has also co-authored a book with psychotherapist Sue Hickey called When Loving Him Hurts. It's been described as a book on abuse that blazes a path through the complex dynamics of domestic violence and helps the one who's being hurt to look at herself with compassion and tough love. Phillipa Sklaar, welcome to the Loft.
Thank you very much.
Wonderful. Please first off just tell us about the experience of writing this book.
It was absolutely amazing. You know, I've been living in America for the last 13 years, and last year I just moved to the Berkshires, and I'd known Sue, who was my therapist since '92.
Wow.
For all these years, and we had become friends. She was no longer my therapist, but we were great friends. And I'd been asking her for the longest time to come and visit me while I was living in LA, and she would never come. But when I moved to the Berkshires last year, she came. And she had just started writing this book. She's been in private practice for nearly 30 years, dealing with women in abusive relationships. And after talking to her, I hadn't spoken to her for about 2 years, and she came to visit me, and just after a few hours of talking, she invited me to co-write this book with her. Because she's a great believer in the AA principle that once you've been there and done it, you can then help somebody else. So, as a survivor of abuse and a therapist, we've put this, we worked together, and it was just the most remarkable gift ever. If ever I needed confirmation that I'd healed, it arrived with her offer.
Yes, and I'm sure the book was a cathartic experience for you as well.
It was. You know, a lot of the women that Sue asked to go back and to remember, what they'd been through, resisted it because it was too painful for them.
Yes.
And for me, we actually spent the time in raucous laughter, because when I would go back and think about how insane I was and the mad things I did and my faulty belief system, today I can laugh at it. But I can tell you at the time, I was crippled with shame, with an absolute sense of failure. And that's what the message is. That's what I'm trying to... That was the aim of this book, is to... I always had Sue to guide me, and often, when I went to live in America, I was on my own, and I want to be that hand for other women going through it.
Yes. Now, we have a clip from your book launch, and your friend Simone had something to say about
Lee, yes.
Lee. Okay, let's take a look at the clip.
Okay.
It leaves me with a feeling of wonderful hope and faith in women and in the human race. When I hear stories about how people can transform their lives and take ownership of the responsibility we all have to ourselves. Because at the end of the day, the book is actually arming women But there are plenty of men who are in abusive relationships, arming themselves with the courage so that you can go forward and have an incredibly amazing life and have very healthy relationships with others after coming from a background of being abused.
Wow, that's incredible. Now, Phillipa, there's the misconception that abuse is only clearly abuse when it's physical. What are the signs of an abusive relationship?
Well, the majority of people think that abuse is only linked to physical violence, and unless you're being hit, slapped, punched, kicked, and raped, that's abuse. But most of abuse takes place without a hand being raised. And the emotional signs of abuse, we have what we call in the book a bully barometer. Wow. And it's a 16 points. And if you mark 12 of the 16, you're in an abusive relationship. Wow. Relentless criticism would be one. Isolating the woman, destroying her family network, her support, her friendship network. Controlling with money, sexual control. So there's the 16 points that women need to mark against.
Yeah. So when a lot of people, the first question they ask is, why do women stay? And sometimes people say it's because the woman was financially dependent on their partner. But independent women who are achieving great things also stay in abusive relationships. Why?
You know, the pathology of being an abused woman, that's part one of our book. Because until women understand what their pathology is and why, women mostly think that they were chosen, that they're the victim. This book busts all kinds of myths. We say that women have got a get-out-of-jail-free card for too long. Women need to understand what their contribution is to this dance of abuse. Wow. They chose us, but we chose them too. And the majority of abused women are codependents, which means that we only associate love with working. And unless we are slaving for a man, we don't think it's love. So it's that pathology that women need to understand. And until they do, they can never, ever recover.
Oh my gosh, that is so amazing. It's so introspective as well. I mean, and it's also a very empowering stance. I mean, it could even sound like you're being quite harsh on
we do.
women.
We need to be gentle with ourselves, but we need to be harsh in terms of getting a reality check. For the longest time, I believed that the only man that I deserved was somebody who beat me, lied, cheated on me. Wow. My self-esteem was absolutely rock bottom. And until I took responsibility for my choices and what my contribution was, I could never have healed. So yes, we do need to, it's not about being harsh. We certainly don't blame women, and they aren't the problem, but they are the solution.
Wow. So now, I'm so overwhelmed by this topic. Oh my gosh. So a lot of men who start to abuse see what the effects of their abuse is on their victim, but they carry on. Why? And how do men become these abusers?
We profile in the book 3 different kinds of abusers, and we call them Adam, Brett, and Clive, only because it's A, B, and C.
Yes.
So Adam becomes an abuser because he has been brought up by a mother that he can't trust. So he punishes women. That would be a misogynist. But not all abusers hate women. Wow. A lot of abusers fight very hard to keep their women. B, Brett is an abuser because he's emulating his father who's abusive.
Okay.
And Clive is an abuser because his mother, he has an enmeshed mother, which means that he's been brought up to believe that the slightest discomfort in his life should be relieved by the woman in his life. And if it's not, he'll punish her. So those are the three abusers that you get.
Yeah, this is really insightful, and you're not going away. We're still going to chat to you more about this. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
After the break, Danilo makes us a caramel chili pork belly, and we continue the conversation on the couch. Remember to call us now on 083 913 3728 if you have any questions or comments for our guests. Don't go away.
Welcome back to Afternoon Express South Africa. So we've got Clem Pedro joining us in the kitchen today. We're making a most delicious pork belly in a salted caramel and chili. It sounds amazing, by the way, and I just want to make sure you can pull it off. So I'm going to be keeping a close eye on this because you tend to throw some tricks and sneaks always into this kitchen, and so I'm always on edge.
Okay, you should be, but I think today we'll take it easy. Let's just keep it passive. Nice and easy, just chill, just have a nice relaxing time in the kitchen. So, pork belly, one of my favorite cuts of pork. The reason being because you can cook this now, prepare everything, get the crackling going, and only use it tomorrow.
Amazing.
So it saves time. So This is the Willie's pork belly, and it's already been scored for us. Job done. All we need a little bit of salt.
So scoring naturally, obviously, is where you just cut into the fats.
And all that does is just helps the fat release a little easier. You don't need to do it. But also what it actually does is helps you cut the pork better easier afterwards.
Yes,
Can you imagine trying to get through all that pork belly? If it's scored, it's like half the done job for you.
Exactly.
So can I ask you to whack that into the oven?
Sure.
You don't need any fat because as you can imagine, there's a lot of fat in there already. A little bit of water just to help it steam as well.
So you're just putting it on, obviously, all around oven. You're not grilling it, anything else. You're just putting it in at what temperature?
Tell you what, we'll start off with 200, and that's just to get that initial heat going, rain down some of the fat, and then after about 10 minutes, we'll turn it down to 180. Then we'll really start cooking the meat.
Gotcha.
So you got that going. And the next part, obviously, we're doing salted caramel. We've got to do the salted caramel. Let's get that started. So
you're making caramel from scratch? Because I know you can obviously buy yourself caramel, but you're going to do this whole thing from scratch.
This is a different caramel.
Cool.
So in Asian cuisine sometimes, especially in Vietnamese dishes, they start off actually making caramel. They actually burn the caramel first, and that's the base of the flavor. We're not going to burn it today.
Cool.
We're just going to use the same inspiration to make our salted caramel, and we're going to be flavoring it with sriracha. You know about sriracha?
Oh, yes.
You know about
okay,
sriracha.
that is the evil sriracha, actually.
So
we'll keep that aside there because we're worried about this little product here. This product is a nightmare.
Why is it a nightmare? You tell me.
If you try to stick this on your tongue and then rub your eyes afterwards. Yes, I've tried. It happened by mistake.
So sriracha, basically what it is, it's a blend of chilies that have been slightly fermented and a lot of sugar, which kind of balances that heat out, and then garlic as well. So if you're on a date and it's a first date, I don't recommend you trying it. But I think...
Or if you don't like her, you try it.
Good idea. But I think sriracha is amazing because it gives you that like underlying heat, the heat that just warms your mouth.
Yes. But it gives you all the flavor without
It gives you all the
absolute
flavor, totally. So I use it on its own, but I use it as an ingredient in sauces as well.
Okay, cool.
So we've got the caramel going. So the idea now, our caramel is just sugar and water.
Okay.
And then it starts bubbling. And what happens is the sugar caramelizes in the water. So once it goes a slight golden brown, that's when you start adding your flavor.
All your flavors.
So
basically, obviously, caramel you're making from scratch. You use something like the easier to dissolve sugars or your caster sugar is probably the easiest one to use.
Totally.
In the water. And basically, it's just water evaporating and making sure the sugar.
That's exactly the point.
dissolves.
And the reason for caramelizing, you see it's starting to happen already. It just gives you that subtle sweetness. But I know we're more familiar with caramels being used for sweet foods.
Yes.
But in all honesty, like we spoke about pork being naturally sweet already, we're just playing on that and just developing more flavors.
Cool.
So we've got a little bit of color happening. I'm actually happy with that. I would actually start adding sauce now already. So we're gonna add a little bit of saltness. Like I said, it's Asian, so Asian's a balance of all flavors. We got our sweet, a little salt with some fish sauce.
Okay, fish sauce obviously gives you that nice salty flavor too, I assume.
Salty flavor. And what I find a lot is instead of adding salt, I like using alternative ingredients that would give you that salty
might
flavor.
as well.
Because I find instead of just adding salt, I'm trying to add more flavor as well. So why add just plain salt? But you could add salt to that umami flavor from your soy sauce, which just went in right now.
And one thing that people always ask about making a caramel is how do you know when it's actually done? So how do you know when to stop?
Okay, so
this is the biggest thing, because once it cools down, it goes crunchy.
Totally,
you might have like
exactly.
a whole creme brulee sitting
And
there.
especially because we're going to be heating the caramel up again later, I don't reduce it. I don't let it get thick. I keep it at, I would say, a very thin pancake batter, if that helps you understand.
I see.
Because remember, we're going to be putting this back in the heat later, where it reduces even further.
Okay.
We don't want a toffee. We want a caramel.
True. No, exactly.
Okay.
And then obviously, what is it? We're going to serve this with our pork belly later on, but what have you got down that side? What are we going to be making later?
You're getting ahead of yourself.
I know. I'm just interested to know.
So obviously, because we've got the rich flavors of the pork and the sweet caramel, I'm going to balance it out with a nice acidic apple slaw with cabbage, just to kind of cut through all that rich flavor.
Cool. Well, in the meantime, you can finish that off. Make sure that gets itself ready to rock and roll. Don't forget the website has got all of our recipes and shopping lists available for you if you want to make this pork belly and learn how to make yourself a beautifully flavored salted caramel. In the meantime, though, we continue this very, very important conversation, particularly for South Africa, on the couch with Bonnie.
Thank you, Danilo. Now that we know how to identify abuse, let's find out how we, as individuals and communities, can be proactive in taking a stand against it. With us today in the Loft to give more information on how abused women are supported and to tell us what steps women who think they find themselves in an abused relationship can take is leadership coach and board member of the women's rights organization POWA, Zanele Nkosi. Welcome to the Loft.
Thank
Zanele.
you. Glad to be here.
So we have a clip to show our viewers about POWA.
neighbors and residents across the wall are complaining about the drumming noise.
But, you know, you're living in a community here. You can't be doing this, you know, in the middle of a complex.
It's such a noise. It's really, you can hear every single beat.
What's this?
That's Brian.
I know it's Brian. It says Brian here. I'm not stupid.
Wow, that was really harrowing. And that was a social experiment that was conducted to show how somebody was playing drums and somebody came and complained. But the same noise where somebody was being abused, in the same situation, nobody came.
Absolutely. And every time I see that, and that's been running for a while, and we've had that as an advert, we had it a few years ago, and every time I see it, it just hits home in terms of the extent to which we are quiet and silent about abuse.
Yeah, because the abused is quiet and the larger community around them. Why? Why is it that?
So the women will be silent a lot of the time. It's about some of what Phillipa was saying about the shame that you feel. But that shame is, by extension, what the community or people outside of yourself and society will put onto you. There's a sense of, well, why would you stay within this relationship? If you stay, then you were asking for it.
Yes.
And more and more we're trying to give the awareness of why women do stay in the abusive relationships, but it is about, if I say anything, I will look like this person. I will look weaker. I really would like to be this.
And surely I must have caused it.
Indeed. So that's the other one. That's right. So it's my fault. And people will say to you, so leave. But again, some of the things you were speaking about earlier, where you were intertwined with this person.
Yes.
For the last little while, what I've been saying to people is how this is a love relationship. So you go into this and you are in love with this person.
Yeah.
It's a love relationship.
Right.
And every time that you were abused, every time you were hurt, you really, really hope for and wish for that love again. So this person loves me.
Yeah, and one day they'll remember that they love me, and they'll see how much they're hurting me, and they'll stop.
That's
hopefully.
right. So the original person, it's the hope that that person you met and fell in love with will come back.
Right.
And be what they were before.
Yeah. And what role does POWA play in protecting the rights of abused women?
So what POWA does is the very basic counselling of women. So raped and battered women can call in, can come in for face-to-face counselling, and we support them with that. We then have a legal advice service. So that is going into courts, supporting women within courts to make the applications, to report the abuse, whatever that is. Alongside that, in terms of the legal aspects, is making submissions to Parliament in terms of legislative changes to support and protect women. We also have, in fact, we are completely Gauteng-based. So in Johannesburg, we have 6 offices and 2 shelters and a second stage shelter. And the 2 shelters, very obvious, women will come in and then they need somewhere to go temporarily. And the second stage accommodation is for women to give them about a year to get back on their feet. So they'll pay nominal rent, etc. And we also do some skills development within that. So those are the services certainly that we offer in getting women back onto their feet.
For women watching this right now, and it's really hitting home that they're in an abused relationship, what's the first thing they must do?
Get some help. And very simply, somebody that you can trust, right? So that may be a friend, a sister, a relative. It doesn't matter who that is. Somebody who you can really trust. And if there is nobody in your life that is able to provide that for you, is to find a service provider. So it is going to POWA. It is your rape crisis or your lifeline. All of those service providers will give you at least referrals to other places you can go to if they can't support you. But get the help and step out of that context that you're in and see if there's somebody that can support you.
We do have details on screen right now of who you can contact to get help. Now, what about the community around the person who's being abused? Friends, family, cousins, and you recognize that this is happening in this woman's life. How can you help? Or a man's life?
Yeah, it's to raise it and see if you can have the conversation. And because people are protective of their space and within the shame is you might get resistance. So it's, this is my business, this is the man I love, this is not true what you're seeing. And my invitation to people and my encouragement is to keep raising the conversation.
Right.
And asking how you can support that person.
How?
So don't tell me
just
to get
assume
out.
that you know.
Don't tell me anything about what my particular context is, but ask me how it is that you can help and support me. That may be providing somewhere to go to in the interim. It may be a phone call. It could be just somebody on the other end of the phone that is there to support you. Just knowing you've got that backup is really helpful.
So I find one of the biggest hurdles in women reporting abuse or specifically rape is feeling like they won't be protected after they've reported it. How does POWA assist in that process?
So the court application process, that's kind of going to the police station, supporting women to lay a charge is where POWA will assist you. And within that is that, again, it's just having somebody else who knows the process and is able to do it for you properly in a way that you will get the assistance. The reality is that the perpetrator, if they know where you are and have the will to come after you, can possibly still find you. So it's finding a place of safety to be. And if that means just going, I guess, essentially underground for a little while, that's it. It's just finding somewhere where you can go where you cannot be found.
Yes. How are we doing as a country in protecting the rights of women?
We're not doing very well. We're just not. And it's bigger for me than just those perpetrators that are the people that are actually inflicting the violence. It's about everybody else within the society as well. So it's us. We are judgmental of women who are in abusive relationships. We are, and I always say this, so the higher the profile, the case, then we're all out there, we have stuff to say, we know this, the interest is there, and then the high profile person gets sorted out. And every day, every 8 hours, a woman is killed by an intimate partner. Every 8 hours in this country. And if we could support those women, would be amazing.
We'll be chatting to you shortly. Wow. Remember, we're taking your calls live on 083 913 3728 if you have any questions. And remember to enter our Go Green SMS competition. All the details for this week's questions are available on our website, afternoonexpress.co.za. You have until midnight tonight to enter, so get SMSing. We'll be right back.
The Afternoon Express team is going green. Join us every Tuesday at 4 p.m. until September as we bring you the most innovative trends in sustainable fashion, food, decor and design, as well as handy tips to help you reduce your carbon footprint.
Answer our Go Green question every Tuesday and stand a chance to win a R1,000 Woolies gift card every week.
Plus, simply by entering, you also go into the big draw for the ultimate grand prize worth over R500,000.
Including a dream sustainable kitchen makeover from Cordev, fitted with Bosch appliances with R300,000. Also, up to R250,000 worth of home upgrades so you can live off the grid. Plus, food and homeware from Woolworths valued at R75,000. And a R25,000 towards a school of your choice with My School.
So, go big, go green with Afternoon Express every Tuesday at 4 p.m. to win these amazing prizes.
Woolies and I collaborating to raise R100 million through the My School program. Are you with us?
Welcome back to Afternoon Express. We are back on the couch with author Phillipa Sklaar and, of course, from POWA, Zanele Nkosi. Now, Blow the Whistle is a national anti-crime, anti-rape initiative campaign which not only strives to protect all women and children of South Africa, but aims to empower them by giving their voices back. Now, the goal of the initiative is to provide women and children with the platforms necessary to make them feel safe, and many well-known South Africans have joined the cause. Let's have a look.
Every day,
181 rapes are reported.
Many more go unnoticed.
Of these,
24
are children under the age of 11.
Under the age of 11.
It is estimated that a woman is raped every 36 seconds.
1 in 3 South African girls is likely to have been raped
by the time they've reached the age of 18.
It's time for a change.
I pledge to give them their voice back.
Be heard.
Have a voice.
Blow the whistle.
Wow. Now, with us on the line, we have 5FM DJ Vic Naidoo, one of the very many male celebs who've joined the cause as ambassador. Hi, Vic, how are you?
Hey, great to you.
Very, very well, thank you. Congratulations on that campaign. It is definitely powerful.
Yes, certainly is.
Now, the point of the Blow the Whistle campaign is to give women their voices back. How is this going to be achieved through the whistles and the mobile app?
Well, it's very simple. The meaning behind the whistle, whenever you feel threatened or you're in danger, you can raise awareness or raise the alarm by blowing the whistle and basically making a noise and bringing attention to yourself. And I think that gives a voice to many women in those situations, so you have help. And then the mobile app is it's amazing. It's a platform for someone where you can add your friends and family and you call them guardians for them, and they watch over you. So you can... It's basically, you can nominate these people, and for the touch of a button on the app, you can let them know if you're in trouble. If you're on a journey, you can set your journey, and you can notify them where you're heading to, and they can monitor your journey as well. They'll know when you're set to arrive, how long your journey is going to take, where you're going, and if you haven't notified them, or if the app hasn't notified them at a certain time, they can follow up on you. And it's got a panic button that's built in. If you hold it down for 5 seconds, and it's also a secret panic button, and then help is on the way. So you actually never feel alone because you have this app and you have the whistle, and that's kind of the thing where it says that you'll never feel alone because you have that help around.
All right, I think it was quite nice as well that we saw a lot of men there. I mean, a lot of familiar faces. We had Jonathan Boynton-Lee and, of course, Ray Knetling. Why do you think it's so important for men to also be a support and be a voice for our women and children of South Africa?
It's not just a women issue. It's an issue affecting everybody, and it's really sad to say, but I think no matter who you are, in some point in your life, you will meet or you will know or you have met someone who is a victim of abuse. I think a woman is most beautiful when she's smiling, and I feel that we as men have the duty to keep them smiling. And it's important for everyone to get involved because this is a human issue, and we can't condone it, and we can't nurture a society that's comfortable with this sort of thing happening. And by raising awareness about this, and I think the more people, no matter who you are, you have to get involved.
Vic, why did you personally get involved in this campaign?
I think, well, as I said, I think we're so conditioned as a society to turn a blind eye when we witness acts of abuse in public because it's not our business. And quite frankly, it's an attitude that doesn't help this pandemic, or rather epidemic, and nurturing this society that doesn't respect women, also not cool. So I posed naked in the Maya Care issue earlier this year, and it was a great campaign to raise awareness against women and children abuse, and they teamed up with the DNA Project and Blow the Whistle. And the proceeds from Blow the Whistle goes to the DNA Project. The DNA Project helps to put these perpetrators behind bars with DNA forensics. Definitely, I think everybody needs to get involved. You can't sit back and watch so many vulnerable women being attacked.
Exactly.
And I think the more people get involved, the better it is for everyone.
So how can your average person at home, how can people now at home listening to you, how can they get involved?
There are so many ways. You can purchase the whistles from cross-trainer stores, legacy hotels and resorts. You can give these whistles to other women. Other ways in which you can get involved is by downloading the app, the Blow the Whistle Mobi app. This is the app that lets you nominate 4 guardians to watch over you all the time. Or you can make a pledge on the Blow the Whistle website and pledge to protect, respect and care for all women.
Excellent. Vic, you are so wonderful. Thank you so much for chatting to us.
Thank you too.
All right. Okay, so we're going to be chatting a little bit later. We're going to quickly cross to the kitchen, but when we get back, I definitely do want to speak to the two of you, and we're going to be taking in calls in why a lot more of these women are not coming forward and blowing the whistle, so to speak. So if you want more information on Blow the Whistle and how you can make a difference, then make sure you visit our website, afternoonexpress.co.za. But for now, let's join Danilo back in the kitchen.
Yeah, and a big thank you from our side too, I think, Clem and myself, for being in the kitchen, for all of the interaction online. It's really cool to see so many people having a voice about this. So make sure you do give us a call later on and engage with this topic. Let's see how we can change the way our country views this kind of abuse. So now, Clem, obviously you've put the pork belly inside the oven. It's kind of got itself ready. You've chopped it up into little pieces. You've created the caramel, which is really cool, your salted caramel. You've used fish sauce, you've used soya sauce, so you've made it a really unique style of caramel. What's next?
So, belly is out of the oven, and like we said, we're going to cool it down. I would recommend doing it the day before, just because you don't want to fuss with cooking the belly on the day and all other bits.
But if you haven't done the day before, doesn't the actual crackling itself become a little bit soft?
Well, that's why we're reheating it, and that kind of brings gets the crackling all...
Even more crackling. Why not?
Crackling, why not? So, okay, so we get the pork belly back in the pan.
Okay.
So the idea, all we're doing this is because texture's everything. You can have an amazing dish, but if everything is a texture of pop, it's not going to have effect.
Nope.
So that's why we're heating the pork up again, and to get that crackling all crispy, you can hear it's going already.
Yeah.
So let's get that all in.
This is a new trick, by the way, that I've learned. I think Claire also did this before. I've never actually done that, cooked something, put it back in the pan for crisping. I think it's such a rad little neat trick that you can use for any kind of meat.
Well, definitely. It saves time, and that's the biggest thing. We don't want to spend hours in the kitchen. I mean, that's the worst thing. If I can imagine putting this dish together for dinner parties, I mean...
Who has the time?
Absolutely. So we let that just get a little warm, little crackly, rend out some of that fat as well, just to reduce that extra fattiness that's in the meat. So while we do that, can I ask you...
Yes, I can do
to
anything.
put the dressing together.
Yes.
So I don't like dishes.
Okay.
So I'm doing everything for the slaw in one bowl.
I like you.
There we go.
So what must I do?
So get a microplane. You do this. Microplane some garlic in there for me.
Oh, you make me hold the garlic. This is the only thing I don't want to do.
That's exactly why I didn't want to do it. So the idea is, we've got a really fatty dish this side. It's really rich. I don't want to add more oil into the dressing.
Yeah.
Totally. So, no oil in there at all.
Okay, cool.
But I did need to tell you something.
Yes.
Working in the kitchen is quite dangerous.
It is.
So, safety first.
Yes.
Now, I can either give you a pair of these, and there's a reason you need them.
What?
Totally.
Okay.
So, we've got the pork going. Splattering a pork belly, it gets everywhere. It gets all over your clothes on the surface. But also, sometimes there could be fire in the kitchen, you know? So not today. Okay, that's fine.
Oh, cool. Thank goodness.
Are you
were you hoping that your fat would have kind of caught a light? Well, thank goodness. Now, I look like we both look like idiots now. I was wearing sunglasses on and your thing didn't...
Well, at least I'm still smiling. I'm still happy. Okay, so maybe we'll get a little bit of fire in the end. But in all honesty, yes, it can be dangerous.
So careful with that pork belly,
watch your heat when your belly's on there. It's going to lend a lot of fat. As you can actually see, it starts splashing everywhere. So it actually can be dangerous.
Yes.
You don't need aviators in the kitchen. Just watch out for it.
Okay,
so you can finish that for me. So it's a little bit of lime juice in there. I'm going to help you with the lime juice.
Just squeeze a whole lime?
Yeah, totally. And fish sauce. Once again, balancing flavors. So we've got acid, a little bit of saltiness, and then the fish sauce is in there. We got a little bit of sugar.
How much sugar?
It's all about taste.
All about taste. So just yourself, okay.
It's literally to balance out that acid and to balance the saltiness.
Cool.
I'm doing it by eye, but I can kind of see what's going to happen.
You this?
Yeah, totally. So if you can do that for me. Still no flames, eh?
You see, this is the thing.
And that
when you're not hot enough in my kitchen.
Oh, when it's live TV, come on.
And I promise you probably were practicing in this for hours before, and every single time it worked perfectly.
Every time I caught, and the one day I'm in the kitchen. But as you can see there, if you can actually see, the crackling's gone stiff again.
Oh, wow.
Well.
Yes.
And it's gone all firm again, so it's got the color. So now, the reason I said earlier, don't reduce your caramel too much, because now we're going to add it back to the pan. And Murphy's Law just catches on fire now.
Oh, gosh, I'm stepping back for this one.
Okay, so caramel in the pan.
There we have flames!
So the caramel goes in and it's reducing. You see what I mean? It creates a kind of glaze on the actual
automatically
pork.
goes brown on the pork. I see that.
And that's what you want, that stickiness, to coat that crunchy pork flavor. It's exactly what it's about.
It's amazing.
So,
okay, so can I finish this up? Is there anything more that needs to go into here?
Right, so now you can add all your, we're going to do a slaw, like I said, super fresh. Let's get the cabbage in. If you can add the apple for me.
I feel like I'm standing back because you're a dangerous man to cook with in this kitchen.
So we're taking the classic, you know, apple and pork go together so well. It's been done for hundreds of years.
Yes.
We're just giving it a bit of an Asian twist.
Cool.
Now, like I said, I don't want to create dishes. I'm not going to chop any mint. I'm just going to tear it right in.
Tear it apart. Can I go some more?
Yeah, totally, and some coriander. So now, what I don't ever like giving quantities when it comes to making salads or when it comes to making dressings, because it's all about taste. So.
Oh, this mint is lovely.
That's quite overpowering, so that's enough for me.
I'm not a big coriander fan, so I'm only going to put a little bit in.
All about you.
All about me. You said it's to taste, so...
It's to taste. So now another good tip is making salads. Make your dressing first. You got the dressing at the bottom, right?
Yes, so it doesn't make the things
Start layering your salad right on top with the firmest ingredient, which is a cabbage.
Yes.
So it stays fresh. When you're ready,
Just
give it a
toss it up.
toss.
Oh, look at that.
There we go. At least I got some chef skill today. Something went
so
right.
clearly you practiced this before the live show. You didn't practice that before the live show.
So you got a nice bowl there for us. You want to get that one up here?
Sure.
Pop it right there, and it's that simple. So let's actually go with our pork first.
Yum. And what would you, is this like a starter dish, right? This is something you can serve as a sort of snack during the day?
I would do it as a starter. If I wanted to bulk it up and do it as a main.
Lekker.
I'm thinking some steamed rice.
Amazing.
That'll be awesome. You can even toss it through some noodles.
Lekker. So we're going to put those two together. We'll serve it up on the table a little bit later. And don't forget, if you want this recipe, it is available on our Facebook page. It's also available on our website, afternoonexpress.co.za. Now, don't go away, because after the break, we're back on the couch with our experts. So you better give us a call, 083-913-3728, and share your opinion, South Africa.
Welcome back to Afternoon Express. Now, we're on the couch with Phillipa and Zanele. Remember, we are taking your calls live on 083-913-3728.
Yeah, so we actually have a caller on the line, Nonhlanhla from Johannesburg. Hi, Nonhlanhla.
Hi, guys. How are you?
Good. How are you? Welcome to Afternoon Express.
Thank you. Well, I was abused as a teenager, and the misconception is in the townships is that the guy loves you if he abuses you. So I would like advice on how do you stop that in the townships?
Thank you
That's
so much.
misconception.
Yeah, thank you so much, Nonhlanhla. Great
That
question.
is terrifying that girls think that, you know, maybe because you're getting that attention from a man that he loves you. So how can we help?
Well, I can tell you that with my second husband, I was physically abused for 7 years. And it's the lies that we tell ourselves that we start believing. And the sad and tragic truth about the syndrome of being an abused woman is that protecting him, his behavior, becomes our little secret. So we feel closer and we feel special. And remember, there's this whole dance of abuse that takes place, that when she's being beaten, when he starts off abusing her, he will apologize and she will feel empowered. But after a while, the abuse escalates and he stops apologizing. And that's why women and girls need to know, love is not about being beaten or abused. This girl who's just called in, she needs to redefine what it is that she thinks love is. Love is not when a man beats you, raises a fist, or relentless criticism, or financial control, or sexual control. Women need to educate themselves about what love is, and what you're expressing is love isn't.
Yeah. We do have another caller as well. Kanye, hello.
Hi, Bonnie. How are you?
I'm good. Welcome to Afternoon Express.
Thank you, guys.
What's your question or comment?
Well, my question or comment is, I was born right into abuse. You know, my dad used to beat up my mother for many years until the end of it was just by shooting her. That's how it ended, and the plan was for him to shoot her, kill her, and set us at school and end our lives as a family. And, you know, now I'm a 22-year-old woman. I don't aspire to have kids. I don't, want to have any relationship, get married. And, all I want to be is independent and just live my life as it is. And now I don't even have a good relationship with my mother now as a woman because I blame her for a lot of things, And she might not see it, but I really blame her for a lot of things. Like, why did you say, you could have left and finished school as you did and become the successful woman that you are now? Why couldn't you leave? And I want to know, what is the help that I can get, that me and my mother can get, because our relationship is really bad. I really want to have a relationship with her. How can we move on from there? How can we make it right?
Thank you
You're
so
a brave,
much.
wonderful girl. Thank you so much for your call.
Okay, thank you.
Wow.
It's so heartbreaking.
So, and for Kanye, is the process really is about forgiving herself, being part of that, as well as her mother. So to improve their relationship is that the conversation, again, and I think I said this earlier, the conversation has to be had around getting the truth in the context of how her mother was feeling within the years of the abuse, and then understanding, So nobody is right in this, is the reality. So Kanye's not right, and neither is her mother right. And finding a place where they can communicate around that, and also where they are at the moment, and building a relationship of support.
But she definitely needs to go and speak to somebody, because she also said now she's made a decision that she's not going to be in a relationship. She's never going to have children, because she doesn't want to become her mother. But she doesn't want to become her mother out of the fear that it's in her and maybe she deserves it somehow. Or, I mean, that's so
why we
heartbreaking.
wrote this book, exactly to answer all these questions, and she absolutely needs to read it. Firstly, she can forgive her mother when she understands what her mother's pathology is, because I understand it, I lived it. I also couldn't understand why on earth would I want the hands that beat me to comfort me. It's just, it doesn't make sense. It's so confusing. How on earth do you explain that to anybody, let alone yourself? And these are the answers that we have in the book.
But she thinks that her mother's weak because her mother was abused, and I think that's a very important message. Women aren't weak because they're allowing themselves to be abused. They just don't know how not to be, I suppose.
Well, it's about feeling weak, feeling ashamed, feeling crippled with a sense of failure. Unless you understand the pathology, we can throw out any kind of labels.
Exactly.
I've heard so many stories, sorry, interrupt you, of children growing up and then looking back on their family lives and then harshly, like, just blaming the mother for staying. And their anger is directed solely at the mother for not leaving.
Instead
Why
of
is
being
that?
angry at
Why
the
is it
dad for
always-
abusing.
Yeah.
Because of the sense of you were being hurt within this. You needed to get out
And you didn't
of it.
stand up for yourself.
And you didn't stand up for yourself, but you didn't stand up for us in terms of being able to protect us from witnessing this abuse.
Would you
that
say by
happened.
staying, we're also teaching our children not to stand up for themselves when they're older?
Absolutely, I would say that, yeah. What it is the, so going back to the last caller as well, of this culture of if he hits me, then he loves me. And it is a culture. So we need to break that, as well as the sense of if you are quiet, you are a good...
Yeah.
Right, and you're a good person. You are being good by being quiet. It's about standing up for yourself and for other people.
Let's take another caller. We have KB on the line. Hi, KB.
Hello, ma'am, how are you?
Very well, thank you. What's your question or comment?
I have a daughter, she's 20 years old. My name is Bonke. I think she's having a abusive relationship, not physically, but by words and, her boyfriend. She's always isolating her from her friends. If she has a time out with the family, he gets angry. She's always so upset, so unhappy. I don't understand her anymore. She's quiet and she's not so bubbly as she used to be. But she always says, when I talk to her, she says, I can handle her, I can handle him. So I need you guys to help me how to help her.
Shame.
Thank you so much, KB.
How does a mother see her daughter maybe going through something like this and then be a support? Because your daughter's not going to listen to her, I suppose.
No, I understand that. You don't listen to anybody.
Yeah.
And it's part of what we believe love is, and that it's connecting us and we're special. And it's, I have to disagree with you.
Nobody
it's not
understands
just a cultural thing about thinking that if he loves me, that's why he beats me. I can tell you, I believe that too. That he loved me so much, and that, things that I did made him jealous, and oh my God, look how wonderful my love is. And I never stopped to think how sick that was.
You know him so well that you know what buttons to push. That's their closeness.
All these answers we have in the book, I can just, to this mother, and I can understand her pain, that if there's any way that she can speak to her daughter and allow her to see, it's like, because it's one story, one person telling the story to another, because I've been there and done that, the last quote in the book, I say, if you remain silent, the shame is yours. If you speak out, the shame is his. Speak out as loud as you can. So here I am, speaking out as loud as I can, and I hope you all hear me.
Yeah. And by culture, what I mean is that it's a culture of abuse.
Oh,
not,
culture, absolutely.
Not
oh,
that
yes.
it's a racial...
Okay. I thought you think only black men can abuse. No, I want to correct you.
Thank you. It's cool.
We'll be back chatting more on abuse after the break. Don't go anywhere. Welcome back. We've had an incredibly inspiring show today, and we just want to thank you for staying tuned and to our guests for sharing their stories with us. And thank you so much for calling in with your sensitive questions.
Exactly, and also our Facebook comments and tweets. We've got a Facebook comment from Ndlovu who says, people close to me have been through this. Let's stand up for ladies and fight for what is ours. We don't need men to complete our lives.
Wathinta umfazi, wathinta imbokodo.
I almost read that.
Yeah, I know.
I understood it.
So, okay, do you want to ask the first question?
No, go for it. Sorry.
What I've heard stories where a woman remarries, keeps meeting different guys, and it all ends up in the same place, where she could even meet a guy who's nothing like the guy she was with before, but somehow through the process, he becomes that guy. Is there a case where the woman comes in with this expectation and this projection, and they actually recreate the scenario? Or is it that these men are just abusers and she's attracted to abusers?
She picks them as much as he picks her. And my third husband, I thought that he was so different, and he was. And my second husband was a substance abuser, so for years I blamed the substances. So when I was in my third marriage in LA, I couldn't understand why I was feeling the same way as I did with my second husband, but there were no substances. And when it was the relentless criticism, it was the controlling. And when I phoned Sue, who I co-wrote the book with, and described it to her, she got me through it. And that's why it's so important for women to understand what emotional abuse is.
Wow.
Wow. Why do women stay?
Because firstly, we need, as a codependent, the pathology is that we need a man to validate us, that without a man we are nothing.
Yeah.
That I would rather have had a man who beat me up than to have nobody, because anybody is better than nobody. We also have this crazy, distorted, unhealthy view of what love is. So unless we're slaving away for a man's approval, we don't think anything's valid. Normal men I never thought were interesting. I thought they were boring.
Oh yeah, the good guys are boring.
That's right.
Yeah.
Well, you know, when I was sick, that's why I found them boring. Now that I'm healthy, there's no such thing as a boring man.
Yeah. And in terms of reporting abuse, specifically rape, how can a woman do it effectively? Because we've heard horror stories of police insensitivity and women just going home in shame.
The primary thing for me that I think is really supportive to women is to have the details of organizations on hand. That really, for me, seems to be the closest to fail-safe. Because when you're going on your own is when you don't know the procedure, you're not there with somebody that's actually run the rigmarole of the lack of support and working with the police services. So for me, that feels like the most fail-safe way, because you can report and the system often does let us down.
Yes.
So have those organizations on speed dial and find somebody to hold your hand through it.
Unfortunately, we're almost up with time with the show. The show has gone so quickly today. So Danilo's in the kitchen, and I think he's making us something fabulous. Let's have a look. Danilo.
Yes, it's pretty much done. But can I just say, before we talk about this food, just to say thanks to these women for sharing their stories. And I suppose we've angled it towards what the women should do to stand up. But I think the men of South Africa, myself and Clem, as men in South Africa, we need to say that what it takes to be a real man is to leave a legacy and make sure that you're leaving something for your children behind. This kind of abuse is not something that we're going to tolerate here in South Africa, and I'm definitely not going to do it myself either. But
yes, and a real man cooks great food.
A real man cooks food for his family. So my Afternoon Express family, I've made this incredible dish with Clem. Clem, this recipe is divine. It's really, really cool. Please taste it, guys.
Thank you so much to our fantastic guests for being here today. You really have inspired, and I hope you've helped, and you definitely have helped so many women out there. And to all of you, thank you for joining the show. We'll see you again tomorrow between 4 and 5. We're discussing ETOL stress. We'll see you then. Ciao. Good night. Happy eating.
Tomorrow on Afternoon Express, with the ongoing e-toll saga in South Africa, we're joined by experts to discuss the issue from both sides. And for our sustainability series, we take a closer look at the good beauty journey.
Another feel-good production.